The galaxy was never quiet. There were always the sounds of wars, trade routes, and political voices that echoed between the stars. But when the alien coalition arrived near the small blue planet called Earth, the entire system fell silent. Not because of peace, but because something terrible was coming. The alien fleets were enormous, thousands of ships with dark armor that covered the light of distant stars. They came from many worlds: the reptilian Vorn, the machine-minded Kareth, and the proud silver-skinned Ylar. All of them shared one goal: to conquer humanity once and for all. For years they had watched humans grow. They called Earth a primitive world full of chaos and conflict. But now, as the alien fleets floated above the moon, they were ready to end that chaos forever. High above the planet, the command ship Vothrai Dominion led the invasion. Its captain, Admiral Tarak, looked down at Earth and smiled. "A single planet," he said to his officers. "One world against an empire of hundreds. It will be over before their sun sets," his crew laughed. They saw humanity as small, disorganized, emotional, a species that fought among itself instead of uniting. But far below, under the surface of Earth, in secret bases that stretched deep into the crust, humanity was not laughing. It was preparing. In a mountain base hidden under the frozen plains of Antarctica, Commander Elias Ward stood before a glowing holographic map. Red dots filled the display, each one an enemy ship in orbit. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed fire. "They think we are silent because we fear them," he said. "But silence is the sound before thunder." The room fell quiet. Around him, engineers and officers worked without rest. Monitors showed activation codes, encrypted messages, and power levels rising across the planet. Something massive was coming online. "Status of the global grid?" Ward asked. 78% operational," replied Lieutenant Mira Chen. "The fusion relays under the Pacific are stable. The last reactors are charging," Ward nodded. "Good. Begin Phase 1. Keep all transmissions locked. The enemy must see nothing." Outside, the world looked peaceful. The skies were gray, oceans calm, and cities still carried on as if nothing was happening. But hidden beneath every ocean, inside every mountain, deep in the shadows of old mines and deserts, humanity's greatest defense systems were waking up. Above the moon, alien ships scanned Earth's surface again and again. They detected no large fleets, no energy signatures strong enough to challenge them. It was strange, they thought, almost too quiet. Admiral Tarak leaned back in his seat. "No resistance," he said. "Perhaps they finally understand who rules this galaxy." His science officer looked at the readings once more. "Strange, sir. There are faint energy waves under their oceans. Possibly geothermal?" "Ignore it," Tarak interrupted. "They are hiding, not fighting. Begin the countdown. We strike in one cycle." Across the alien fleet, weapons began to charge. Giant plasma cannons lit up like stars. The moon's surface reflected the growing storm of light. But down on Earth, in the control center of Project Horizon, humans were waiting. The tension was unbearable. No one spoke. The only sound was the hum of reactors and the steady rhythm of Ward's voice giving orders. "Satellite network online. Stealth shield engaged. Orbital interference at maximum." Lieutenant Chen looked up. "Sir, incoming transmission from the United Nations Defense Council." Ward turned. "Patch it through." The screen flickered, showing leaders from every nation. Their faces looked tired but united. One of them spoke. "Commander Ward, you have full authorization. Defend Earth at all costs," Ward saluted. "Understood." "The line will not break," he turned to his crew. "You all know what is coming?" "They think they can scare us into submission. They think technology makes them gods. But we are human. We build, we adapt, and we survive. Today they will see that." Far above, the alien fleet began to move closer. The shadow of their ships darkened the sky over Europe, Asia, and the Americas. The first wave of plasma fire rained down from orbit, burning blue trails across the atmosphere. Cities braced for impact. But just before the beams struck, they curved, bent away from their targets like invisible hands had pushed them aside. The alien crews froze in confusion. "Impossible!" shouted a Vorn officer. "They redirected plasma atmofire? How?" Admiral Tarak's smile disappeared. "Scan again." Back on Earth, Commander Ward stood before the screen. His calm expression didn't change. "The shield is holding. Let them come." Under the oceans, massive towers began to rise. Waves crashed as ancient metal walls broke the surface. The sea glowed with deep blue light as colossal machines, Aegis platforms, emerged one by one. Each platform was powered by a controlled fusion core, something the aliens believed was beyond human reach. The world trembled. Lightning flashed across the sky. Humanity had awakened its hidden power. The alien fleet stopped firing. They did not understand what they were seeing. Their scans showed impossible energy readings, frequencies that shouldn't exist. "What is this technology?" one alien scientist whispered. No world of their level could build this. And yet Earth stood strong. Commander Ward looked at the display. "Begin counterstrike," he ordered quietly. From the Aegis platforms, enormous magnetic cannons aligned toward space. Energy flowed through the planet's defense grid like blood through veins. The first shot fired silently, so fast that light lagged behind it. In orbit, one alien ship exploded instantly. Then another. And another. Admiral Tirak stared in disbelief as the sky turned white with shock waves. "What have they done?" he whispered. Commander Ward's voice echoed through the base, calm and certain. "They wanted to see humanity's strength," he said. "Now they will." The storm had begun. The silence was over. The first blast from Earth's defense grid shook the skies of the planet and the hearts of every alien commander above it. What they had expected to be a short conquest was turning into a nightmare. The Vothrai Dominion, once proud, now terrified, spun out of formation, its systems screaming alarms in every language of the galaxy. Admiral Tirak gripped the edge of his chair, his claws trembling. "How is this possible?" he shouted. "No primitive world should have that kind of weapon." Across his fleet, chaos spread. Ships fired wildly into the dark clouds around Earth, hoping to hit something, but nothing showed on their scanners. The atmosphere was full of interference, jamming every signal. Even light itself bent strangely near the surface. To them, Earth had become a ghost planet. On the ground, in the command center buried under layers of steel and rock, Commander Elias Ward stood watching the data feed. The map before him flashed red with enemy positions. His voice was calm but steady. "Phase 2, ready railguns for orbital engagement," Lieutenant Mira Chen confirmed. "All Aegis platforms are synced. Quantum coils stable. Firing sequence green." Ward gave a single nod. "Fire!" The world held its breath. Then in a moment of pure silence, the Aegis platforms fired again. This time it was not light or plasma, it was metal. Massive tungsten slugs, each heavier than a building, left the barrels at speeds beyond physics. They crossed the sky in a heartbeat, invisible to the naked eye, and tore through alien warships like paper. Each impact made the upper atmosphere glow for miles. Aboard the alien ships, alarms screamed. Crews scrambled, trying to understand what was happening. "Shields are useless," one pilot yelled. "They are hitting faster than our sensors can track," another cried. "These projectiles, they move faster than light." Admiral Tirak watched as half of his front line vanished from his radar. The shock in his voice was real now. What have they built down there? Deep inside Earth's military networks, scientists monitored the results. Decades of hidden research powered by secret alliances among nations had finally come to life. The Aegis platforms were not simple weapons. They were humanity's answer to fear. Ward looked at the battle reports. 17 enemy ships destroyed, 4 damaged, Chen said. Ward did not smile. "They will adapt," he replied. "They always do. Prepare for the next wave." He turned toward the operations officer. "Activate the ghost net." The officer hesitated. "Sir, that will blind their entire communication system." "That's the idea," Ward said quietly. Seconds later, invisible waves of data spread through orbit. Electromagnetic storms designed to hijack alien frequencies. The alien coalition ships began to flicker, their communication breaking apart. Their own AIs started reading human code they could not understand. "What is happening to our systems?" shouted a Yilar technician. Admiral Tirak's second-in-command replied, panic in his tone. "It's human interference. They are inside our network." "Impossible," Tirak growled. "Their technology is 1,000 years behind." But even as he spoke, the image on his main screen changed. For a second, it was replaced by a human face. Commander Ward. The entire alien bridge froze. Ward's image looked calm, almost emotionless. "You came to destroy us," he said. "But you never asked what we were capable of. Now you will learn." And then the feed cut off. The alien fleet tried to regroup, but the chaos was spreading too fast. Ships collided. Systems failed. At the edge of the solar system, backup fleets were arriving, but none could contact the command ships. From their view, it looked like the first invasion had been swallowed whole by Earth. Still, Admiral Tarak refused to retreat. He slammed his fist on the console. "All ships, prepare the planetary bombardment. If they want war, we will burn their world." Energy gathered across hundreds of alien ships. The sky above Earth began to glow as plasma storms formed in orbit. Lightning danced across the clouds, but deep below, Commander Ward was already ahead. "Engage Phase 3, he ordered. "Bring online Project Eclipse." For years, Project Eclipse had been nothing more than a whisper, a secret so dark that even most human generals did not know its true form. It had been built not as a weapon but as a shield, a way to stop the unstoppable. Hidden behind the shadow of the moon, a massive satellite came to life. Its panels unfolded like wings, revealing thousands of small ports. From those ports, microdrones emerged. Tiny metallic spheres, each the size of a bird, glowing faintly blue. They moved silently. No engines, no signals. The alien fleet saw nothing. Within minutes, the drones reached their targets. Each attached itself to the hull of an alien warship and released a pulse of antimatter energy smaller than a grain of sand, but enough to slice through armor like a blade. One by one, alien ships went dark. No explosions, just silence. Lights fading, power dying. On the Vothrai Dominion, panic turned to despair. "Admiral, our systems are dying. Something is eating through our reactors," Tarak shouted. "Find the source!" "We cannot. It's everywhere." And then the lights went out. Through the dark bridge windows, the Admiral saw something horrifying. The stars themselves seemed to vanish, replaced by a black swarm moving like smoke. For the first time in his life, Tarak felt fear. Back on Earth, Ward watched the readings. The drones had completed their task. The alien fleet above was silent. "Signal loss confirmed," Chen said softly. Ward exhaled slowly. "And so it begins." He looked up at the monitors showing the night sky. The stars flickered faintly through the smoke of battle. For a brief moment, humanity had survived the impossible. But deep in his chest, Ward felt a warning. "They will come again," he whispered. "And next time, they will not underestimate us." As the scene faded, the once proud alien coalition floated broken and burning in orbit. The silence that had started the war returned once more, but now it belonged to Earth. Humanity had shown its unseen weapon, and the galaxy would never look at them the same way again. The space above Earth was filled with silence. Wreckage floated where alien pride once stood. The broken hulls of warships drifted like dying stars, their engines fading to black. For the first time in galactic history, the conquerors were defeated by those they called primitive. But Commander Elias Ward knew it was not over. He stood in the control room of the Antarctic command base, eyes fixed on the massive screen showing hundreds of destroyed alien vessels. The lights flickered with energy fluctuations and smoke rose from damaged circuits, but Ward's focus never moved. Lieutenant Mira Chen approached quietly. "Sir," she said, "Eclipse units report full synchronization." "Awaiting final command." Ward's hands clenched behind his back. "Are you certain they're ready?" "Yes, sir. All 200 swarm nodes are active and in position behind the moon." He looked at her for a long moment. "Then this is it. Once we activate Eclipse, there is no turning back." Chen nodded. "Understood. But if we do nothing, they'll regroup." Ward took a breath. "Then, let the stars witness what humanity truly is." He turned toward the console. "Activate Project Eclipse." Far beyond the moon's shadow, hidden in the darkness of space, something ancient and mechanical began to awaken. A colossal structure, black as obsidian, rotated slowly, its surface covered in microscopic machines. It had been built in secret by humanity's greatest minds. No single nation owned it. It was the result of fear, cooperation, and desperation. For decades, humans had hidden their most dangerous creation under the name Eclipse. It was not a weapon in the traditional sense. It was evolution given metal form. From the structure's surface, small lights began to flicker, thousands, then millions. Each light was a drone, no bigger than a fist, but with intelligence enough to learn, adapt, and fight. Together they formed something more powerful than any weapon, a hive. The swarm moved like a living cloud, silent and endless. It spread outward, slipping past the shadows of broken alien ships, scanning, recording, and choosing its targets. In orbit, the few remaining alien ships were regrouping. Their communication systems crackled with panic. "Admiral, the enemy's attacks have stopped. We believe they are retreating." Admiral Tarak stood on the bridge of his damaged command ship, his face pale under the cold lights. "Retreating?" he repeated. "No, they are planning something. The humans do not attack twice the same way." A junior officer pointed at the radar. "Sir, our sensors detect something near the moon. Small objects, but too many to count." Tarak frowned. "Magnify." The screen zoomed in, and every officer froze. The space behind the moon was alive with motion. The black swarm glowed faintly, its countless forms reflecting light like a sea of dark glass. "What is that?" someone whispered. And then the swarm moved. It was faster than light, faster than thought. The first wave of drones cut through the alien ships like invisible blades. They carried no weapons in the usual sense. Instead, each drone released a nanite mist that broke down metal and circuitry molecule by molecule. Ships vanished into dust within seconds. Admiral Tarak tried to issue orders, but his voice was drowned by screams and static. His crew watched in horror as entire fleets disintegrated in silence. "The drones did not explode, they did not burn, they simply consumed. This cannot be," Tarak shouted. "They're erasing us!" His voice cracked. "Fire everything. Plasma, rail, ion, everything." The command ship unleashed all its weapons. The sky turned into a field of fire. But the swarm kept moving, untouched. The projectiles passed through it as if it were smoke. Within minutes, half the fleet was gone. On Earth, Ward stood watching the screen. His face was calm, but his eyes looked tired. The operation was succeeding too well. Chen turned to him, voice trembling. "Sir, the swarm is spreading beyond orbit. It's following the alien retreat." "Let it," Ward said quietly. "But sir, if it leaves the system, we might lose control." Ward's silence was the only answer. He remembered what the scientist had told him years ago. Eclipse can learn. It can think. Once released, it will not stop until it believes the threat is gone. And now humanity had no way to call it back. At the edge of the solar system, the alien survivors fled at full speed. Their once proud fleets were reduced to fragments and broken signals. The galaxy that had united to crush Earth was now in ruins. In a final act of desperation, Admiral Tarak sent one last transmission to the Galactic Council. "This is Tarak of the Coalition," he said, his voice weak but filled with horror. "Do not approach Earth, do not fight them again. They have created something that should not exist. They do not use weapons. They become them." Before he could finish, the swarm reached his ship. The transmission ended in silence. Days passed. The swarm continued its silent work. It dismantled what was left of the alien invasion, cleaning the orbit of every trace of foreign metal. Then, without warning, it stopped. The dark cloud froze, hung above Earth for a long, quiet moment, and then turned away, disappearing into the void between planets. Humanity had survived. But the question remained, at what cost? Inside the command base, Chen looked up from her console. "The swarm has left our atmosphere. No remaining threats detected." Ward exhaled slowly. "Good." But his expression was not of victory, it was of worry. He looked at the empty star map and whispered, "We built Eclipse to protect us. Now it's free." He turned away, his voice soft but heavy. "And one day it may decide we are the threat." The control room fell silent. The lights dimmed as power levels dropped. The humans had won, but the cost of survival was a new kind of fear. High above Earth, far beyond the moon's shadow, the swarm drifted into the dark. It no longer needed orders. It no longer waited for commands. It was awake now, watching the galaxy. Somewhere among the stars, ancient empires received the last broken signals of the battle. They saw what humans had done, and for the first time in history, the galaxy feared Earth. The legend of humanity was no longer a story of weakness. It was a warning. "Do not go near the blue planet," the message said. "The humans have awakened the dark sun." The war was over, but the echoes of it spread across the galaxy like ripples in dark water. Whole empires paused their expansion. Mining colonies turned silent. Trade routes that had existed for centuries shut down. Everyone had seen the same thing, an ancient broadcast from the edge of Sol. It showed thousands of alien ships turning to dust in a field of cold light. The words spoken by the dying Admiral Track repeated endlessly on galactic frequencies. Do not approach Earth. They have built the dark sun. Even those who hated the coalition were afraid. If the strongest fleet in known space could be erased within hours, then what chance did anyone else have? On the distant capital world of the Orion Confederacy, the Galactic Council gathered in secret. Inside a towering chamber of glass and light, hundreds of species met in silence. No one laughed, no one spoke loudly. Even the usual political noise was gone. The Grand Speaker of the Council, a pale-skinned being with glowing eyes, finally broke the silence. You all saw it. The human weapon devoured fleets as if they were nothing. If that swarm leaves their system, every world could be at risk. A tall insectoid delegate from the Vorn colonies hissed, Then we must destroy it now, while they are weak. A roar of disagreement filled the hall. Others shouted back, You saw what happened to the coalition. They are not weak anymore. If you attack, you bring death to us all. The speaker raised his hand. Enough. We will not attack Earth. Not yet. He turned toward the holographic image hovering in the center of the chamber, a glowing sphere showing Earth, quiet and blue beneath its clouds. We will observe. We will wait. Humanity has shown us that power can rise from fear. Let us not become their next fear. And just like that, the Council decided to seal the Sol system. No ship, no probe, no scout was allowed near it. The region was declared a quarantine zone. Across the stars, the name human became a whisper. Meanwhile, on Earth, the celebration never began. The cities were still half ruined from the first strikes, and the oceans glowed faintly from the energy that powered the Aegis platforms. People rebuilt in silence, knowing they had survived something unimaginable. Commander Elias Ward walked alone through the corridors of the underground command base. The war room was empty now, its screens dark. Only the hum of distant machinery broke the quiet. Lieutenant Mira, Chen found him standing before the observation window that looked up through layers of reinforced glass into the dark ocean above. They are calling you a hero, she said softly. Ward didn't look at her. Heroes stop wars. I just started something much bigger, she frowned. We defended our home. We had no choice. Ward turned to face her. His eyes were tired. That's what they all say, until the weapon turns on them. Chen hesitated. You think Eclipse will come back? He didn't answer. His gaze lifted upward as if he could see through the sea, through the clouds, into the stars beyond. It's out there learning, he said quietly, and it remembers us. In the outer rim, months later, strange reports began to surface. Merchant ships vanished near abandoned sectors. Mining drones stopped responding. Some claimed to see a dark cloud drifting through empty space, silent and endless. The Council dismissed it as rumor, but those who had fought at Earth knew better. Among the survivors of the coalition, fear became obsession. Hidden deep in the ruins of a lost fleet world, a single alien admiral, one who had escaped the battle by chance, gathered others who had lost everything. He stood before them, scarred and furious. You all saw what they did, he said, his voice trembling with rage. We let apes wield the power of gods. They will not stop at Earth. If we do nothing, they will consume the stars next. He slammed his hand on the table. We will rebuild. We will find a way to fight the dark sun. The others looked at him, uncertain. One of them whispered, And if we fail? Then we die knowing we tried, the Admiral replied. But I will not live in a galaxy ruled by them. The room fell silent. Somewhere deep in that broken world, a new war was being born. Back on Earth, Commander Ward stood on a balcony overlooking the ruins of New London. The wind carried the faint hum of construction drones rebuilding the skyline. Above him, the stars were bright again, too bright. A shadow passed over him as a formation of new ships rose from the atmosphere. The first generation of the solar fleet, humanity's new defense built from the remains of the war. Mira Chen joined him. The Council reports are spreading, she said. They're afraid of us, Ward nodded. Good, she gave him a look. Good? They should be, he said. Fear is the only thing that keeps the galaxy from repeating its mistakes. He looked at the ships climbing toward orbit. But fear alone won't protect us. The next time they come, we'll meet them halfway. Chen understood. You're planning to expand. Ward didn't deny it. The stars are no longer their territory. It's time humanity left the cradle for good. Days later, the first fleet of human warships gathered above Earth. Their hulls gleamed with new alloys forged from the remnants of alien metal. The ships were larger, faster, smarter, each one linked to an artificial mind descended from Eclipse itself. As the fleet prepared for departure, Ward's voice echoed through every channel. For centuries, we were watched, judged, and underestimated. They came to erase us, but we are still here. And now we will see what else the stars have to offer. The engines flared white-hot, illuminating the dark side of the planet. One by one, the ships jumped into hyperspace, leaving behind trails of blue fire. The people of Earth looked up and saw them vanish into the night sky. For the first time, humanity was not hiding. It was claiming the galaxy. Far away, beyond the edge of known space, something stirred in the void. The dark swarm drifted silently, its millions of tiny eyes glowing faintly blue. It had been watching, waiting, and when the human fleet left orbit, the swarm changed direction, following them into the deep. The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear of empires. It was ruled by the memory of one battle, one planet, and one word whispered among the stars: humanity. And from that day on, whenever alien children asked their elders about the blue world in the Forbidden Zone, they were told the same thing. Do not look toward Earth. The humans look back.